Former President George H.W. Bush was laid to rest after a final emotional service and a train ride in his adopted state of Texas. Marc Liverman is here in New York with the details on that. Marc, good morning.
Good morning, Anne Marie. Well, this is the first presidential funeral train journey since Dwight D. Eisenhower's remains went from his Washington home to his native Kansas 49 years ago. Yesterday's funeral started with a 70-mile train ride and ended with a very emotional goodbye. Amazing. Final farewells in Texas for President George Herbert Walker Bush yesterday. A funeral was held at St. Martin's Episcopal Church in Houston, where he and his late wife Barbara were members for more than 50 years.
He left a simple yet profound legacy to his children, to his grandchildren, and to this country: service.
James Baker, the president's Secretary of State and longtime friend, called him a charter member of the greatest generation.
Our glory, George, was to have had you as our president and as such a friend.
Following the service, the nation's 41st president was placed on a train marked 4141 for a 70-mile trip to his burial on the grounds of the Bush Presidential Library. Thousands of residents in small towns along the way gathered to wave goodbye.
It's unbelievable. I mean, as soon as it passed, it's like you take a moment for yourself and really to reflect.
In College Station, 2,000 cadets saluted the hearse as it drove up to the library. Navy jets flew overhead in the missing man formation. And a 21-gun cannon salute, all in tribute to the late president's service as a World War II combat pilot.
Somebody who dedicated basically their entire life to our country. That's the example we want to follow.
Mr. Bush was buried alongside Barbara and their daughter Robin, who died in 1953. And the public will be allowed to visit his burial site starting Saturday at noon. Anne Marie?
Marc Liverman here in New York. Thanks a lot, Marc.